huge win for Donald J. Trump as the Supreme Court of the United States has ruled in favor of presidential immunity, which basically kind of kaputs Jack Smith's entire case against Donald J. Trump. And this is a huge win for the Constitution, by the way, regardless of who is in office, because quite frankly, presidents have always really held this kind of immunity. It's never been an issue until we got a dictator like freaking Joe Biden, a dementia dictator in office, to where he literally starts going after his political competition, the very man who's running after him for presidency, he's trying to put in jail. It's obviously a ploy to go after dissent and anyone who is in opposition to Joe Biden. But what's really chilling about this whole thing is what Democrats did immediately after that. And that is the fact that they are now literally, there's many of them out there literally calling and asking if it's okay if Joe Biden assassinate Donald J. Trump, with some kind of drone or something like that. These are sick people in the head. And in fact, that's against the law. I think these people should be in jail for these statements. You don't make statements like that. I hate Joe Biden, but I would never in my lifetime say anything like that. I don't wish death upon no one. But either way, presidents should have this kind of immunity because they make the hard decisions. And sometimes it's very unfortunate. Under Obama, civilians got killed in war and wartime. That is what happens. And there's no right for any of us to say, oh, now we're going to send you to jail for that action. And if that's the case, by the way, Mr. Biden, we could take you to jail immediately for breaking the law on the border and letting so many illegals. It's against the law to do that, Joe Biden. Therefore, if this ruling didn't come out the way it did, technically we could go after him and put him in jail for breaking the law. This is why we have and need this immunity. It's massive. But let's dive in to first some of the stuff that is going on. Trump wins. Supreme Court says presidents covered by immunity for official acts. Now, the article goes on to state this. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of former President Donald Trump on Monday, holding in a 6-3 decision that presidents are covered by limited immunity from criminal prosecution for actions taken while in office. Now, here's the actual summary of the decision, and it states this: under our constitutional structure of separated powers, the nature of presidential power entitles a former president to absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for actions within his conclusive and preclusive constitutional authority, and he is entitled to at least presumptive immunity from prosecution for all of his official acts. There is no immunity for unofficial acts. In other words, if somebody wants to take, say, Donald Trump to court for, some civil act, that's not immune, right? Obviously. Now, it goes on to say, or this is what Chief Justice Roberts, kind of like his opinion on it, had to say, and I think it's an important one, but it says, this case poses a question of lasting significance. When may a former president be prosecuted for official acts taken during his presidency? Our nation has never before needed an answer. No, we haven't. But in addressing that question today, unlike the political branches and the public at large, we cannot afford to fixate exclusively or even primarily on present exigencies. In a case like this one, focusing on transient results may have profound consequences for the separation of power and for the future of our republic. And he reiterates, the president enjoys no immunity for his unofficial acts, and not everything the president does is official. He is still not above the law. And that's the thing. We have these alternative left-leaning articles out there like The Nation saying the president can now assassinate you officially. You have to keep in mind the left is really exaggerating, and this is to their benefit also. That's what really ticks me off. But the truth of the matter is, if they were to do that, Congress can still go after him or whoever the president is and impeach him. This is also why we have an impeachment process. Very clearly, that is not what is literally going on here. And then we also have this, it gives a really good breakdown of the Supreme Court ruling on this Gateway Pundit article here. That's the headline, but I'm just going to kind of scroll down to the points of the ruling. And there's 3 key points. Absolute immunity for core constitutional powers, which our presidents need. The court reaffirmed affirm that a president enjoys absolute immunity for actions taken within the scope of his exclusive constitutional powers, such as pardoning authority or foreign recognition decisions. This is to ensure the president can perform his duties without fear of criminal prosecution, undermining his ability to act decisively and in the nation's best interest. And I believe that should be the case no matter what president is in charge. Now, if the president starts going and rounding up people in the country, this is against the law, right? This is against our very constitutional right to round up your political dissenters. And therefore, you can impeach the president. But it goes on. Presumptive immunity for all other official acts. So we've also got presumptive immunity for actions that fall within the greater perimeter of the presidential responsibilities but are not exclusive constitutional powers. The court granted at least a presumptive immunity. This means that while the president is generally protected from prosecution for these acts, this immunity can be challenged if the government can demonstrate that prosecuting these actions does not intrude on the executive branch functions. So they can go after him and say, we're going to challenge this. And we absolutely need that as well. And of course, no immunity for unofficial acts. So this is absolutely massive. And we need that as well. Obviously, they can't have forever immunity no matter what they do. If they're not in office, there is no unofficial immunity, right? They fall in line with everyone there. But as a quick reminder, please get on over to restrictedrepublic.com. Justice Knight put a huge, and I mean huge, report up about the FBI behind the scenes, the domestic terrorist organizations. There's 2 parts to that. They're exclusive to Restricted Republic. You are going to want to see them. Trust me. Restrictedrepublic.com. Use the coupon code RR and the number 4, RR and the number 4, and get it for $3.99 per month. And that'll be for 2 years, and you can cancel whenever you want. But by the way, with all of that, I want to say Joe Biden came out yesterday and gave his little lame opinion on the Supreme Court ruling. So he went in front of the American people and basically said, the Supreme Court ruling is wrong. I don't want to play his entire, I'm not going to play his video clip. This is his video clip there. You guys, his words don't mean, he's just a moron. But anyway, he came out there and he said that it's not right. Presidents can't do whatever the hell they want, whenever they want. This is against the Constitution, against everything we stand for as a country, blah, blah, blah. Right? Bottom line, I don't know how he has the audacity to come up on his little pulpit and say that presidents don't get ultimate authority. I mean, he's lying, first of all. It's not what's happening here. Second of all, did he not bash and say he bragged about going around the Supreme Court of the United States ruling on student loans. That's what he did. I went around the Supreme Court. We didn't need the Supreme Court. We still gave out those free student loans. So he brags about being a tyrant and ignoring the Supreme Court in one hand. And he did that with 3 separate things, by the way. He did it with the border. He did it with the college loans. And one other thing that I'm blanking on now, but he completely went around what the Supreme Court said and did it anyway, despite the Supreme Court ruling. Even right now with the free speech stuff, he's doing some of that. So who gave him, what right does he have to suddenly say the Supreme Court is wrong in their ruling, presidents can't do what they want, when literally he is doing what he wants outside of the Supreme Court? I mean, that's literally what's going on here. This guy has no precedence. But bottom line, the Supreme Court didn't say what he's trying to say. It's just one big fat lie. But here's the kicker on the entire thing. There are people out there, many, many Democrats out there, literally calling for Donald Trump's assassination as a result. And this is just insane, because this is not the ruling from the Supreme Court that they're making it out to be. Here's Harry Sisson, right? Very TikTok Democrat man. According to the Supreme Court, Biden can now send in SEAL Team 6 to take out all of them. He could send in the military to take out Trump. He has immunity for official acts now. That is literally against the law, in my opinion, should be reported. And he's calling for an assassination of a sitting president. And then he goes on to say, all of these MAGA lunatics are saying that this is suggesting violence, when the first 5 words are, according to the Supreme Court. This is not what the Supreme Court ruled. And by the way, Justice Sonia Sotomayor completely took this took this out of context. This is not even nowhere near. Then we have this right here. BBC presenter sparks fury after calling for Donald Trump to be murdered by Joe Biden. And this is on Express. Here's what he actually said. This is David Arakovich. If I was Biden, I'd hurry up and have Trump murdered on the basis that he is a threat to American security. Now, he has since deleted that and came out and said, oh, it's just satire. I didn't really mean what I said. Then we have Aaron Rupert here. So if Joe Biden declared today that November's election is canceled and ordered the military to keep him in power, would that be an official act? Oh, my goodness. Dash Dabrowski, I strongly encourage Joe Biden to take advantage of his absolute immunity, which he has been lawfully granted by Trump's Supreme Court, to do whatever official acts he needs to do in order to prevent Trump from being president. There's laws against that. It's called murder. But anyway, you can impeach and other things. And then we have Bradley Moss. The Supreme Court just gave Biden unequivocal immunity to order the military to take action against Trump today, right now. Then we have Max Kennerly, in full compliance with the Supreme Court's ruling, to serve his country, President Biden should drone strike Donald J. Trump. These people are sick in the head. They're literally calling for violence. And this is insanity. It really is. So they're all out right after this massive victory for everyone, for both sides, right? Oh, send a drone in and kill him. Really? Wow. Wow. Those people should be arrested for such violent rhetoric. I wouldn't do that. I don't call for violence of any kind against any candidate, against anyone. I believe we're all, God's children, and we all should be treated equally, because we are. I think some of God's children make stupid and idiotic mistakes, especially liberals who aren't using their brain exactly. I'm hoping to wake a few of them up in time. But hey, speaking of liberals, take a look at Miss Gun-Ho over here, AOC. The Supreme Court has been consumed by a corruption crisis beyond its control. Today's ruling represents an assault on American democracy. That's new. It is up to Congress to defend our nation from this authoritarian capture. I intend on filing articles of impeachment upon our return. Really? Really? Articles of impeachment against the Supreme Court for something that you don't agree with that they ruled. Isn't that the very definition of being consumed by corrupt crisis? This woman's insane. She's literally insane. And obviously, that's not going to go anywhere. Now, of course, Donald Trump is moving to go forward against Jack Smith in the case. Here we have dailymail.co.uk. Trump moves to overturn New York hush money verdict just hours after SCOTUS ruled granting him unprecedented immunity. Imagine if, by the way, and he should move to get rid of that. I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but that's an absolute smart move in the right direction. Now, regarding Donald Trump. Now, look, if they did not get immunity, if the Supreme Court said, you know what, they don't have immunity, imagine the chaos that would ensue with every president. Blatantly asking, and I'm sure some of you agree and disagree. I get it. Fine. We're all, subject to our own opinions. But every president could then be jailed for their actions. All of them. Not one wouldn't be immune. They would all be jailed by the end of it. Biden for the border crisis, Barack for killing people, civilians, even many presidents in the past. And I don't want to go through everything, but where's the line to be drawn, right? And there has to be some kind of line with that. Anyhow, wanted to give you guys a quick update on what's going on with the president potentially being off the ballot. Gateway pundit Bill O'Reilly claims Joe Biden will drop out of the presidential race. That's coming from Bill O'Reilly. Then we have California Gavin Newsom fuels speculation he's preparing to step in if Biden drops out of the 2024 race after insisting we have his back. That's on Daily Mail. And then seven Democrats have actually been floated as his replacement for now. Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, Pete Buttigieg, Josh Shapiro, J.B. Pritzker, Andy Barish, and that's it. So those are names. Now, Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama didn't make that list, but both of those have obviously been floated as well. Anyhow, I can't wait to hear your thoughts, comments, and concerns, all of this. Please don't forget to check out my sponsor, lisahavengold.com. You guys want to definitely get there if you're ready to power up your retirement in 2024, because at some point we are all going to retire, but you can do that. Silver is about to shine brighter than ever before. Every solar panel actually needs silver paste to work its magic. And as you know, the Biden administration is handing out massive amounts of dollars for these solar panels. But guess what? Solar panels are now exploding as a result of all that. It's doubling every 3 years, and it's set to light up the world by 2035, especially with all these climate regulations. With silver demand through the roof, a silver IRA with Noble Gold Investments makes it perfect for you. No matter who wins the election, by the way, or what the economy does, silver's future is going to be dazzling. Now, the great news is if you want to check it out, call the number on the screen, 1-877-646-5347. Talk to one of their no-hassle specialists, or go to lisahavengold.com, fill out that information, click Get It Now, and they're going to send you that free gold and silver investment guide. And by the way, right now you can claim up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar. These are going to be included with any approved account. So make sure you give my name if you do give them a call. Anyhow, I love you guys. If you want more information on that, click that more button or click the link in the description box below. And by the way, there's always a risk of investment and no guarantee of any kind. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven signing out.